Hello and welcome to Shifting Lanes. My name's Chad and today we are talking about crossovers, specifically the Lexus NX300 and 3 crossovers that I've selected basically because they're the crossovers in this luxury small crossover class that I would consider buying. We're going to take a look at things like options, pricing, what cars offer the best value, what crossover is actually the best of the bunch, and which one you should consider buying. Let's start with the NX300 itself. If you want to check out our review video on the NX300 where Hanson goes into phenomenal detail about the NX300, all its features, all his likes, all his dislikes, I've linked that in the description below as well as above me. Now, some of the quick hitters with the NX300 before we dive into its competition. The NX300, like pretty much all the cars I researched for this class, I'm sure there's some outliers and we'll get to one in a second, has a 2-liter turbocharged engine chucking out 235 horsepower. The fuel economy is 22 city and 28 highway for a combined 24. The hybrid, you'll be nudging that combined number into the 30s. Now, in today's day and age, that may not feel like a lot, but it is pretty good in this class. Some of the stuff we liked about the NX300, it's reliable, luxurious, solid safety systems, solid build quality, very good resale value, excellent ride, extremely, and I cannot stress this enough, it is extremely comfortable to drive in. It has one of the most beautiful interiors of any cars in this class. Some of the downsides, it's basically all down to the touchpad system Lexus uses for their infotainment systems. There's no touchscreen, it's all basically on a touchpad, and if you're trying to do things on the move or even at a traffic light where time is of the essence, it's not the most convenient system out there. The regular NX and NX hybrid, they're not the most fun vehicles to drive. Now, that may not be for you because this car is specifically designed around comfort. And who wouldn't want a comfortable vehicle, especially if it's your daily driver and really all it's supposed to do is carry you, your family, and some of your stuff around town. Now, if you do want a little bit more sportiness, definitely check out the F Sport. You get a more aggressive front fascia, which actually is the best looking of all the NXs, and it gets a little bit more sporting credentials for a vehicle that got a pretty decently high center of gravity. Overall, we really liked the NX. Lexuses in general are some of the best cars to sit in and look at, but it's far from the last option. The first car we're going to take a look at that is, let's just say, an alternative to the NX300, it is the BMW X3. Base pricing for the BMW X3 is $43,000. Once you put some options on it and things that you'd actually want, you're basically going to end up being at about $52,000 all in, all said and done. Once again, we're looking at a 2-liter turbocharged engine, 248 horsepower, but you get a little bit better combined gas mileage at 29 miles per gallon. The X3 has been the go-to for people who don't really want to be creative when it comes to buying a luxury crossover. It does pretty much everything you'd want in a crossover. It's comfortable, it has a very well-appointed interior with high-quality materials. A couple downsides to the interior, the shifter is the same shifter BMW uses in all its cars, and it just looks out of place in the otherwise simple interior. The thing that lets the interior down big time are the analog dial. Basically the same analog dials BMW has been using for years now, and it really dates the car. It doesn't feel like you're in a high-end modern luxury vehicle when you look down and you see the analog dials. The NX does also have analog dials with a small digital display in there. It just looks so dated compared to the digital dashes that these other cars have. As for the rest of the car, well, the infotainment system is sleek and modern. It has Apple CarPlay just like the NX. The NX also has Android Auto. The infotainment system also has BMW's gesture control. This brings me to where the NX shines above the BMW, and that is the exterior. If you've noticed in recent years, BMW's famous kidney grille has been getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more obtrusive. These grills, in my opinion, are basically something to hide the fact that the X3 overall is a fairly bland, boring vehicle to look at. It's not bad looking by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't have any of the imagination that the NX has. On to the second car on our list, and this car may feel like something of an outsider, an outlier, and that is the brand new Lincoln Corsair. And it is on this list for one huge reason. I personally believe of all the cars we're going to talk about today, it is the best looking. Lincolns in general shock you with how good they look in recent years, and that's not just because Matthew McConaughey is behind the steering wheel. Like every other car pretty much on this list, it comes base with a 2-liter turbocharged engine that's making 250 horsepower, a little bit more than the NX or even the X3. Difference here is you can opt for the 2.3-liter EcoBoost engine, which will bump horsepower up to 295. Why would you go for this? Well, it's a little bit more power, you want a little bit more sport. You want just a little bit more oomph in your crossover. Like all the other cars on this list, you can opt for a sport package, which gives you better handling, better throttle response, better shifting from the automatic transmissions. Like I said before, the Lincoln exterior is probably one of the best looking exteriors. It manages to be both elegant and timeless and also contemporary, and definitely sets it apart from, one, the Ford in which it's based on, and two, the competition. It is a beautiful looking car. Let's face it, when you looked at an older Lincoln, your first thought was, I wonder if they're either going to the bingo parlor or the early bird special for dinner. Not the case anymore. This car, you could easily see a younger person who wants a little bit more style, wants something that's a little bit different. You could easily see someone in these cars. The interior, you have all the things, again, that you want, that all these cars offer. You have a 360-degree camera, you have parking and lane keep assist. The Lincoln does offer a HUD, which is awesome because basically it keeps your eyes forward where they're supposed to be looking when you're driving. It is fantastic. I personally love HUDs, or heads-up displays. I think all cars should have them. Again, you get your Apple CarPlay, and unlike the Lexus NX300, you get a digital dash which displays information on a beautiful screen that does a great job of filling up the center console and gives you all the information as a driver that you could possibly want. Lincoln also offers what they call the Lincoln Way app. This app allows you to use your phone as a spare key. It allows you to monitor things like oil level, when it's the next time for service. So you basically know the health of your car at a glance, which I think is a phenomenal feature. The interior, unlike the Lexus, which can be busy at times, it does have a lot of buttons on there. The Lincoln is a symphony in simplicity. I specifically like the piano key shifters, which they're all push button. No need for a clumsy shifter like in the BMW. The downside to the Lincoln interior, some of the plastics they're not low quality feeling, they're just not as high quality feeling as the other cars. You definitely feel like you're not in a Ford, but the plastics remind you that yes, there is a Ford underneath this vehicle. You can opt for a panoramic roof, which makes the interior feel light, airy. It makes it feel like it has more space than it actually does. This all brings me to the Corsair's party piece, which is value for money. It starts at $36,105. As you option it with the specs, navigation, 360 camera, all the safety features, all this sort of stuff that we basically equipped all of these cars to get our price breakdowns, you're at about $46,000, which offers a savings of nearly $6,000 against the BMW and the Lexus. That is no small amount of money. So the Corsair offers phenomenal value for money, great exterior looks, a very, very nice interior, all at a price that is much, much better than the competition. And this brings me to our last car on our list, and that is the Volvo XC40. Like the Corsair, it provides a phenomenal value for money. The XC40 starts at $33,700. Once you bump that up to a T5 all-wheel drive R design like one we had, you're nudging $46,000. Again, this is phenomenal value for money. The engine, this should come as no shock to anybody who's made it this far into the video, is a 2-liter turbocharged engine chucking out 248 horsepower. Now the XC40 is a little bit smaller than the other cars on this list, so it does 30 mpg combined. The exterior on the XC40 is simple but with a very elegant touch to it. It is distinctly a Volvo. It is distinctly a modern vehicle without going over the top. This is another design that I think will stand the test of time, much like the Corsair. Whereas if you want to be a little edgy, you go with the NX300. If you're a bit boring, you go with the BMW. If you want something that's modern and contemporary but doesn't beat you over the head with it, you go with the Corsair, or in this case, the XC40. The interior, this is without question the party piece to the Volvo, or any Volvo I should say, but specifically the XC40. Volvo has absolutely written the book on what a modern interior should be. It is both beautiful, elegant, yet simple. It just ties together in just the best way possible. You get a digital dash which displays all the information you could possibly want in a very nice, contemporary, but not over the top way, exactly how you want it. That theme continues throughout the entirety of the interior. We're talking about a beautiful vertical display with a minimalistic approach to buttons, but again, it has everything you want and it's laid out logically. You can use Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. You can even split the screen so you can have Volvo apps up top and CarPlay or Android Auto on the bottom. We would personally go for the R-Design T5 package in the XC40 because that is the quote-unquote sporty package, which again gives you that feel in the steering wheel of what the road is doing underneath your tires, more so than anything, because we tend to go with the enthusiast option. And if we have to get a crossover, we're gonna get one that kind of handles as such. You can opt for other classes that give you a much more comfortable ride, because unfortunately in the XC40, you do not have adaptive suspension. The suspension Volvo sets it at is what you got. While it can be firm in certain areas, it is by no means jarring. It is by no means uncomfortable. It is an absolute joy to drive. It's smaller and lighter, so it feels just that extra bit more fun than, say, some of the other cars. And lastly, this is a Volvo after all. Basically, Volvo writes the rule book on how a car should be built when it comes to safety. It has every single safety bell and whistle you could possibly want. Now, which of these 4 cars should you buy? Well, I'll break it down this way. If you want a crossover that just does everything well, has a bland exterior apart from some oversized kidneys, well then it's the X3. If you want something that has a little bit edgier styling, does everything well, has a beautiful interior apart from a touchpad that can be, well, let's just say, not ideal to use in certain situations, well then you'd want the NX300. If you're looking for a great value and kind of going off the beaten path, well then the Corsair is for you. And lastly, if you want the best of it, in our opinion, the car you should buy if you're looking for a compact crossover, that would be the XC40. It provides phenomenal value for money. It has the best interior of the bunch. It feels the sportiest when you want to have a spirited drive. It just does everything better than the competition. Not to say that the other cars aren't bad, you'd be making a great choice by going with any of the other vehicles, but it just comes down to personal taste. And the XC40 is the car we would choose. I just want to take a second, thank everyone for watching. If you liked the video, hit that like button. If you found this video helpful and informative, smash that subscribe button with notifications on so you get the latest Shifting Lanes consumer content as we release it. As for that, I just want to thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you next time.